Well, hello, sports fans. Larry Eater, RunBlogRun. The good-looking guy in the middle is Stuart Weir. He's in Oxford, England. And where is that, kind readers? The intellectual capital of the world. Stuart, great to see you.
Hi, yeah.
Welcome to Athletics Chat 94.
I think you got us a new line rather than the. We'll have to work on this. Something more of it Oxford rather than the intellectual capital, because we keep saying that we need to come up with something different. But
okay, let's see.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
We will. You know, Wasn't it the home of Brother Cadfile too, in the Brother Cadfile mysteries?
Inspector Morse.
Maybe Inspector Morse. Okay. All right.
C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know, I was traveling to Birmingham, and I fell asleep on the train, and kids woke me up in Oxford, asked me if I was okay.
Right.
And they were kind enough to show me how to get back on the train and get to Birmingham, so I could actually go to the place that I was supposed to be. You know, it's the little things in life. So I have a fond. Yeah, we'll come up with something new. I'll have to, look in one of my encyclopedias and see what Oxford's known for. I think they have a few universities and colleges there too.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So we had a track meet this weekend, the first of the Continental Tour, and it was the USATF Bermuda Games. Now, unless in the last few years we invaded Bermuda and made it part of the U.S., I was a little surprised that our federation sponsored a meet in Bermuda. I understand that the lovely weather and that the Bermuda Tourism Group helped, and a couple top U.S. athletes are involved with it. So I think those are all good things. What did you think about the meet?
Well, could we just start by talking about the lovely weather? I mean, if you call running into a -5-meter wind lovely weather,
that's what, 11 to 12 miles an hour. Yeah.
I mean, I just thought that was. I mean, some of the times that were recorded are crazy, like top American women sprinters, and the 100 meters is won in 11.45.
Yeah, that was like a high school time. Yeah.
I mean, but for all that, there were some fascinating head-to-heads. You know, at the World Indoors, we saw Jerry Richards, well known as a 200 runner, winning the 400. So he goes to Bermuda and runs against Stephen Gardner, well known as a 400 runner, in the 200. And Gardner beats him. Well, you're going to run my event, I'll run yours. So there.
That was a good race. I thought that was one of the top races of the day. The Jerome Blake in the men's 100, that was a nice surprise for the Canadian. And Noah Lyles was third, but Arian Knighton was second. So that was pretty interesting. The funny event was that men's 1500, Stuart. The young man was watching his watch quite often. And was it Kamir? Trying to remember his last name. And it only got exciting. I mean, the announcers were laughing about him checking his watch 3 times. And then Andy Bartelsmeyer, the German who runs with Bowerman Track Club, closed it down pretty well over the last 50 meters. It seemed like everybody woke up then. But the young Kenyan actually did quite well. So it was a good race.
Good performance by Quenisha Burks, winning the long jump, and Camacho Quinn winning the hurdles. Ajay Wilson, people wondered if we'd seen her best days, and then she wins the World Indoors and she wins again. Now, there's one thing which intrigues me that I want to ask you about, is what has happened to the men's triple jump? That was won with 16:57.
Yeah.
And the World Indoors was similarly, won with that kind of performance. Remember the days of Jonathan Edwards in 1829 and Christian Taylor getting close to that. Christian's obviously been injured for the last year, but nobody seems to get close to 18 meters.
I know it was kind of surprising for me. I remember the young man from Burkina Faso last year who had been the bronze medalist in Doha. He
Yeah,
went what
Triangle.
18? Yeah, he went 18:09 indoors, and we didn't see him this year. And Pedro Pichardo, now a Portuguese competitor, used to be in the land of Cuba. He won this, or he medaled the silver this indoor season. Yeah, but it's kind of like an also ran event, and that's too bad because
Yeah,
the triple's a lot of fun. And there's
it is.
our friend Will Clay, I think, is probably taking a bit of a break before the outdoor season. But I wonder where some of the other guys are.
Well, no, I mean, Clay was at the World Indoors and came fourth. And in fact, yeah, and he had, but the privilege, the absolute highlight for Will Clay of being in Belgrade was sharing a taxi with me.
Wow. Well, some of us are just lucky, Stuart.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got to do that before. We've had nice walks in Manchester and Birmingham, I believe, and I think we've even shared a meal at a few places.
Absolutely.
Well,
I mean, some people would say it was just coincidence that we happened to arrive at the same time and we're going in the same direction. But I see deep significance in this.
I think it's kismet. Yeah. It's just kind of it's a good thing. What I'm missing is a nice spring season of marathons. We have one really well. We had Rotterdam this weekend, which was the NN running team decided to go 1-2 in the men and women's races, and Abdi Nagaya set the new Belgian record with 2:04:56, won by like that much, and it was pretty close to the women's size too. But we've got Boston coming up next Monday, but London we've got to wait next fall. When are we going to have a spring marathon season like the old days?
I think that London has said that they are going to go back to spring in 2023. I think it was simply the cautious choice to think if we leave it to the end of the year, we're more likely to have normality. And because London did manage in 2022 to have a real mass event alongside the elite, but perhaps they thought it was just too big a risk to say we're going back to the spring. But I mean, certainly it worked much better for us because the London Marathon tended to be the trials for selection for the summer, and now we've sort of either had to last year for the Olympics we had a special trials race which was just 25 elite runners running for selection with no spectators. So in a way, that was probably quite challenging for the runners. And or alternatively, you were simply using time, just selecting people according to the best time they had run. So certainly that was something you miss about London not being in the spring. And it will be great to have it back. But I have no inside information on that. But I mean, I've actually written a piece on British marathon running for this week because it's quite a fascinating setup. Because if you are qualified for the World Championship, the European, and the Commonwealth, and you have to choose one of those, there's different arguments. I mean, there's an argument that clearly Oregon is the big one and you should go for that. But equally, you might just think, well, you know what? If I run in Oregon, none of my family could get to see that. Whereas if I run in the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, then my family can be there. And if you are Scottish or Welsh, you don't often get a chance to run for Scotland or Wales as opposed to Britain. And that's what happens in the Commonwealth. So again, I think that some people are making that choice. But equally, you might think, what I want next summer is a medal. And I'm more likely to get a medal in the European than in the world. So should I run for, I don't know, 5th place, 7th place in the world, which would be brilliant? Or should I think, well, you know what? I could get a medal in the European and I'll have a medal at the end of my career. So it's really it's so unusual, obviously, to have all three in the same year, which is just because we're catching up with the backlog of COVID meets. But it's an interesting dynamic. Because if you're a sprinter, you just do all three and don't think about it. But it's really interesting for the marathon just to see who is doing what. And some marathon runners have not yet been selected either for the world or the European. So I'm assuming that they're probably choosing the Commonwealth in England as their rate of choice.
How popular will the Commonwealth Games be?
I think a lot of events will sell out. Of course, I mean, like the Olympics, it's a multi-sport event. And I'm told that the track and field athletics tickets are going well, because I had worried about that, because they've made the Alexander Stadium with a higher capacity, but often for the Diamond League in Birmingham, they didn't fully sell out. So I wondered whether, and that's for a one-day event.
Yeah.
Now you're talking 10 days. So you're talking about 10 to 12 sessions of athletics, and will those sell out? But I'm told the tickets sales are very encouraging so far. And of course, the thing with the Commonwealth Games is that people will sometimes take a vacation and say, well, let's just go to Birmingham for the week and see how many tickets we can get. And then we don't get as many track and field as we want, then we'll go to a bit of swimming or another sport and so on. So, but I mean, I think there's no doubt in terms of priority for if you are an elite runner that it's number 3 in the list. But there are all these complications. I mean, for example, I'm pretty sure that Gemma Ricci and Maura Muir will run in the Commonwealth because they will want to run for Scotland. Keely Hodgkinson said that her priority is Oregon, but she also wants to run Birmingham just because it's a home, and so all her family can go. And she would like to do the Europeans, which is the third in the sequence, but will not decide until she sees what state her body is in after running the other two. And of course, it's not like doing 3 Diamond Leagues, because you're talking about runs. You're talking about running probably 3 races in 4 days.
Now that's going to be, the Americans have got their U.S. championships in June and the world champs in July, and then they'll have the Diamond League season. But if you're a Brit, a Scottish athlete, or a Welsh athlete, if you're that quality, you've got the world champs in July, then Commonwealth, then Europeans.
I mean, some athletes like Elliot Giles and Jake Whiteman have said to me that they want to do all 3, but they'll probably switch. They'll probably do both 8 and 15. They won't do the same event in all 3, just to make a difference.
No, that makes, I think, a lot of sense, and I seem to recall in 14 with the Europeans and the Commonwealth. Commonwealth, I think, was before the Europeans.
It was, yes, correct.
And I remember Chris O'Hare and several other athletes competing in both and having to do some juggling. So it was a tough go round. But at this time, who's the most popular woman track and field athlete in the UK?
That's a good question. I mean, I think you'd have to say that it's between Dina and Keely. And Keely in her press conferences just comes across very naturally. You know, if you ask her a question, she answers, and she may answer it without really thinking about it, which can be quite amusing and entertaining. Dina is a very much the polished performer, and who will not say anything that will embarrass her. I mean, like Keely in Tokyo said something about driving an Aston Martin. And, this is brought up regularly at press conferences since. And so stuff like that. And I think that Keely has undoubtedly been surprised how far she went so quick because really, we're now in April 2022. And I mean, the first time I really heard of Keely was January 2021, when she broke an age group, I can't remember either world or European record, indoor. And at that point in time, she was not actually targeting the Olympics. She was targeting the World Juniors. Decided to have a go at the European indoor to see if she could get selected. She did get selected, and then she won the race. And then suddenly she was thinking, well, if I can win the European race, I'm not feeling so short of getting to the Olympic final. So let's target that rather than the World Juniors. And of course, she finished up with a silver medal. And in a way, I just think that it all happened very suddenly for her. And Dina, in a way, had a longer run into it, and in a way, because of the injuries she picked up and so on, she was getting to World Championships and European Championships finals and so on. And Dina, of course, was doing her debut in history. Keely is, I'm not quite sure what the situation is. I mean, she was at university last year, but she actually said in a press conference I heard that she wasn't actually there a great deal. So I wonder if that's been put on hold or abandoned just because she's made so much progress. Because I know that she's been on several long training camps abroad, which are not terribly compatible with going to lectures every day. I don't know how comfortable this is, but we have a tennis player called Emma Raducanu, who won the US Open when she was on seeded last year. She was probably ranked about 200 in the world a month or two before that. She qualified, she got into the tournament, nobody knew anything about her. Everybody expected her to lose every round, and she was on and won the thing. But since that, she has struggled. Since then, she has really not been able to maintain that, and she's hardly won a significant game since. It's interesting to work out, to think through, why did that happen? And, it'll be interesting to see whether Keely Hodgkinson can go out in 2022 and win races the way she did last year, or whether just whether she can keep that going. I mean, remember that she's still a teenager.
No, I think it's going to be a very challenging season, and then you're also, I had forgotten for a day or two that we have Budapest next year, and Paris the year after that. So it's going to be a little crazy. What are you thinking about the men's 1500 in Great Britain? You have so much talent. Who are you expecting good things from this year?
I mean, the obvious answer is Josh Kerr. I know that Jake Whitefan was pretty disappointed and felt that he just ran the Olympic final badly. And I'm sure he will learn from that. And he will be doubly motivated.
Maura Muir, who's had some injury issues of late, always quite popular in the UK. And now she's kind of dealing with Jamariki, and as well as Keeley. Do you see Laura tapping her feet in the water of the 800 still, or is she going to focus on the 1500?
I think that there's no doubt that she will focus on the 1500. I mean, she said an interesting thing about Tokyo, where she actually qualified and was selected for both, and then withdrew from selection for the 800. But what she said was, had the schedule in Tokyo been 1500 first, 800 second, she would have doubled up. But she just thought that running 3 rounds of the 800 was not going to help her get a medal in the 1500, which was her best shot. I mean, the received wisdom at the moment would be that Laura is the third best British 800 runner, behind Keeley and probably behind Gemma, whereas she would be, by some distance, the leading 1500 runner.
Do you see anybody competing with Eilish McColgan over 5 or 10 in the UK?
I don't think so, because I know it's a completely different situation, but probably Emelie Markov was disappointed with her performance in Belgrade. You know, she won the European last year, but found that she was really a bit off the pace in the world. No, I think that I would. I don't mean Jess Judd is somebody I enjoy very much, but again, it'd be interesting to see what she can achieve.
Mark Scott, the young man who took your first medal in the 3000 since 1991. He's run quite fast over the 10,000. He's run some very respectable 5s. Where do you see him ending up?
Well, I mean, I thought that he ran a brilliant race in Belgrade, because the received wisdom was that he wasn't fast enough to get a medal in that race, because he would be out sprinted. But he wasn't. He just got his tactics absolutely right. He got himself in the right position, and he held on to his position and got his medal. So yeah, I mean, I was impressed with him. The problem with that event, as you know as well as I do, is there any number of East Africans who can just suddenly appear and run silly times. And I will not be putting my house on him getting a medal in Oregon. Well, even though there's much to admire about him.
The issue with CJ Uja earlier in the year, where the British 4x1 team had to give up their medal, there was some very frustrated athletes who were on the team with CJ. How do you think his ban will affect your 4x1 relay team?
Well, he's been in it. He was in the 2017 team that won the gold medal in London, beating the Jamaicans, beating the Americans. Yeah, but just going back to Mark, I mean, I actually was in the same flight home from Tokyo as Richard Kilton, and he actually came and sat next to me for a bit. And I just felt so pleased for him that he had got an Olympic medal. And it was really tragic that he lost it. I mean, I think it does send shockwaves through the system, that somebody at that level is caught for a doping offence. I mean, CJ has protested his innocence, but I think you'd have to say that generally speaking, people don't believe in his innocence.
Yeah, no, it's pretty hard. Yeah,
but certainly, it's a massive blot on the relay program that this has happened.
Will that be something that Jack Buckner has to address?
Well, yeah, I mean, he is the CEO, but I mean, clearly, if you have a head coach who is himself a sprinter and a relay runner, you would think that he would be the principal person to have to address it.
We were speaking last week about the women's pole vault and how Holly Bradshaw will play a part in it in Eugene, and then obviously we'll see how if she competes in Commonwealth or Europeans. Your national record holder is Harry Coppol.
Coppol, yes.
Coppol. He created quite a stir when he broke one of his teeth last summer. He looked actually like a kid coming off a rugby field. How do you assess his chances this coming summer?
I don't think he'll get a medal. I think that, I don't think he'll get a World Championship medal. I think he's probably Commonwealth is certainly possible. The trouble as a European is that there are, there's this chap, Mondo, is that his name?
I've heard of him, yes.
I think he's quite good at the pole vault. So, I think that he will win the European if he chooses to target that, which I imagine he will. And then there are a few poles in the pole vault. I think Harry's very good. He's coached by Scott Simpson, who also coaches Holly. I think he'll do well. Whether he can just push on and get into the medal, I think that's the question. And I perhaps I'm not having enough confidence in him, and perhaps he will. He was phenomenal the time that he broke the record.
The London Marathon supports about 30 British distance runners. If a British distance runner takes funding from London, are they still eligible for funding in your lottery?
My feeling is that they tend to fund different people, because the British Athletics UK sport lottery funded are potential medal winners. And I think, I could be wrong in this because I'm not absolutely on top of this. My understanding is that they look for the people, the level below that, that who've got potential, and just help them to go on a few training camps and stuff like that.
That makes tremendous sense.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart, you survived 40 whole minutes. You made it another week.
Well,
tell you, my friend. Thank you once again. I will be posting your stories later today.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me on Athletics Chat number 94. And thanks to Mike Deering for being our creative and production manager on these lovely podcasts. Run, jump, or throw today. Stay safe. And Stuart, I will see you next week, my friend. Hey, sports fans, Larry Eater. This is your favorite podcast, Athletics Chat. It's number 94. Can you believe it? Stuart Weir and I were chatting about many things today. Today really was about British team and juggling the World Championships in July, Commonwealth Games the end of July, early August, European Championships the end of August. U.S. athletes are dealing with the U.S. champs in June and a world champs in July. I think Eugene's going to be fantastic. And with all the great athletes coming into shape, it's going to be really interesting because you've got a world champs in Eugene this year. Then you've got a world champs in Budapest in 2023. Then you've got an Olympics in Paris in 2024. Crazy time, huh? Should be fun. A lot of neat things coming up and a lot of neat things happening. I think Eugene will be a tremendous event. I think the biggest complaints will be finding housing in Eugene and Springfield, or within some of the small little towns in Oregon. And I hope and encourage our friends from Europe into finding out about some of the little towns outside of Eugene. We'll start putting a few up on Twitter for you to check out, because there are some great places, easy drives in, a little closer than the 90 minute to 2 hour drive from lovely Portland, Oregon, which I think, quite frankly, a lot of people are going to be doing. So how are we going to keep that's going to be a very interesting challenge. But Eugene is a relatively, it's a college town. It's about 250,000 people, I believe, about the size of Madison, Wisconsin, where I'm 40 miles from there, but they need probably 10 more hotels. And it just isn't going to happen in this time period. And so people are doing the best they can. Airbnbs will make sense. The university dorms, which I stayed at in 2008, 2012, 2016, I think 2017, I believe as well, were fantastic. And great price. The food is great in the dorm cafeterias. And it was, if you're a vegan, there was great stuff there for you too. So kind of cool to check it out. So I think there's going to be some great opportunities. I also think that the level of competition is going to be incredible. Yes, I do think the men's 100 meters will be a lot of fun to watch, but so will the women's. I'm not sure there's going to be any weak event. World records, I think we could see 4 or 5, and we'll start chatting about that as well. But check out our athletics chat today, Athletics Chat 94. And thank you again to our creative and production manager, Mike Deering from the Shoe Addicts, who manages these podcasts. And thanks to Stuart Weir for dealing with me on a weekly basis, which I think many of you could understand could be a challenge. All right. Get a run in today, get a throwing session in today, get a jumping session in today. Stay safe. Tell somebody that you love them, and have a great day. Talk to you soon.